just as everyone loosens their gear and gets some sleep, there's an explosion to our left, and then nothing but volleys of gunfire coming at us. We're surrounded by 18-year-olds with 50 cals. The explosion, a SEAL team, and 3 bad guys inside this circle, and what we call a Mexican standoff, right? There's a lot of moments where you take those lessons learned and they stick forever. Probably one of them was getting ambushed. We had set up for the night, and this was at the beginning of Iraq, and we were part of the initial push. So we didn't have bases, we didn't have anything. We were literally sleeping underneath our Humvees every night. And it was one night when we weren't actually working. And so we had a moment. We couldn't even remember. I was like, when was the last time we slept, guys? And we're like, I don't know. When was the last time we slept? I was like, maybe we should sleep tonight, right? So we say, hey, you 2 guys are on watch. Everyone else, go ahead, loosen your gear and get some sleep. And just as everyone loosens their gear and gets some sleep, there's an explosion to our left, and then nothing but volleys of gunfire coming at us. And we're like, holy shit, that was the worst timing, right? And so guys' helmets were off, gear was loose, guns were to their sides. So there was a split second of chaos and all that just internally for us. I had taken the first watch, so I still had my helmet and nods. I pull my night vision down, I look, and I see these guys about 50 yards away sitting in these trees, right? But there's still all this other gunfire. And the reason being is we had pulled into a Marine perimeter, right? And it was all of these light armored vehicles with 18-year-olds manning 50 cals, okay? And so they weren't communicating with each other very well, right? So some of them had taken all of this ordnance that they had captured, stuck it in the middle of the perimeter, and decided to light it off, right? So it explodes. Well, the word didn't get out that they were gonna blow up all this demo that they had found. So some of those 18-year-olds on 50 cals decided to start shooting at the explosion, which was, we were kind of literally behind it inside the circle. So our Humvee is literally getting holes shot through it like Swiss cheese by these kids, these Marines on 50 cals. And then at the same time, the explosion, the gunfire caused these 3 Iraqi Fedayeen guys to kind of get up and move, even though they weren't the ones initially shooting at us. And so we see them, they got some shots off, and I'm like, hey, we got bad guys in the wire, which is really bad, right? And we're surrounded by the 18-year-olds with 50 cals. So it's the explosion, a SEAL team, and 3 bad guys inside this circle, and what we call a Mexican standoff, right? It's all guns pointed at each other. And anyway, a lot of lessons learned from that, right? Communication is key. Everyone has to be communicating. Everyone has to know what's going on at all times, or you can have that blue on blue situation. The fact that they didn't clear they created a perimeter around an area that they hadn't cleared, right? They didn't know that there was 3 bad guys sitting in the bushes, and they formed a circle around them. And then we pull in, and now we're, literally 50 yards away from bad guys, and we're surrounded by a bunch of kids that weren't communicating very well. So it was a very dangerous situation. But probably part of the highlight reel when I go through to my mind is a point when my buddy, Matt Mills, is off to my right. I remember putting my nods down. I remember looking at him real quick, and he is trying to get his body armor back on, but his elbow, he's a big kid, and his elbow is kind of stuck where the rib strap is connected, right? And so he's trying to push through the shoulder strap and in between the rib strap. And he's like, hey, can you help me get this on? And so in the middle of all this chaos, I run over and I grab his arm and literally pull it through. and we're both laughing, with gunfire and bad guys. And I just remember that moment all the time because we were both laughing about it. We're both Texas kids. And Matt, he ended up, dying in extortion 17 years later. But it's those little split seconds where you're like, yeah, that is exactly what it's all about. You're helping out your buddy in the middle of fucking chaos and you're laughing about it. You know what I mean? Those are the things that stand out the most to me.
So then when you retired or came back to civilian life, even in between, what was that like, that contrast to be in such an intense war zone and then to come back to civilian life?
Yeah, the transition is tough. And I think for me personally, it's ongoing every day. I have my moments when I'm like, this civilian stuff, you feel like you're just not cut out for it. You feel like it just doesn't match the personality that was developed in the SEAL teams. It doesn't match your character. It doesn't match any bit of you. And the whole like fake it till you make it is what comes to mind. You really try your best to, embrace this whole civilian side of life. And for some guys, it's more difficult than others, and they'll end up turning to alcohol and drugs and God knows what else in order to just try and get through it. But the reality is you just have to face it head on. But I think every guy deals with what I call going from hero to zero. And I always tell people that it's like when I retired, you hand in your active duty ID card, okay? That ID card it's a CAC card. It's white, it's sturdy, it's flexible. It has like a computer chip built into it. Your picture on it is in color. All your stats are there. It's cool, right? It's something you've had your whole career. And when you retire, you turn that in, and then they hand you this laminated piece of crap, blue, retired card. The picture of you on it is blurred, black and white, and it's just representation of what you've just become, And so then you have to battle that, because I like that white CAC card far better than I like that damn little crappy retired card, right? And I think that in itself says a lot, right? And then you've got to just figure it out. And, guys that are having issues and the ones that I've tried to help out, I just tell you just got to put your head down and go. But sometimes they don't remember how to put their head down and go when they're by themselves. They're not surrounded by their buddies. And they need more than just encouragement. They need that brotherhood outside the military, and depending on where they retire to and where they live, they may not have that. And those are the guys that I think find themselves getting in real trouble. For me personally, I've just task saturated myself and I try not to think about it. If there's one thing we're good at is compartmentalizing, compartmentalize all that stuff, deal with it another day, just keep moving forward. And so I just find myself stay busy, check off as many things as you can, experience as much as you can, and deal with the trash some other day.
As many of you know, we are independent creators and filmmakers, but there is a massive attack on us right now. Traditional media over the last few years has started to slowly die. They are no longer the independent voice that you first thought they were. That's why we've created Mulligan Brothers Patreon. We've built something special for our most dedicated supporters, and I want to break it down for you real quick. The supporter tier gets you ad-free early access to both video and audio versions of Mulligan Brothers interviews 24 hours before it goes public. The executive tier gets you everything that a supporter tier gets, plus more. Exclusive interviews and behind the scenes content, walk and talks, daily routines, unreleased interviews, the stuff that you don't see anywhere else. And finally, the executive producer tier. Everything from the supporter tier and the executive tier, plus exclusive perks. access to our treatment packages, be the first to see which guests are coming up, and get insight into the topics we'll be discussing before anyone else. And you'll even get an executive producer credit on every single documentary that we make. So if you've ever wanted to support the Mulligan Brothers mission of inspiring change so we can go around the world and get these stories that nobody else will, this is exactly how you do it. Go to patreon.com/Mulligan Brothers or click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Join the community and help us inspire change.